Hello YouTube, this is Blade here, and I want to be showing y'all how to play standard as Zerg. And the reason I want to do this is because whenever you're lower league, a lot of times the first thing you try to do is learn a rush or a build order that helps you create some sort of timing attack early on to go hit your opponent as quick as possible. And that will help you out in lower leagues especially, but once you start to get into the higher leagues, maybe even gold like me, you're going to start noticing that your builds don't always work, and they may end up working less than you would like to. And basically, this is whenever pros and casters of Starcraft will tell you that's whenever you need to start playing standard. Because learning a rush or a timing attack can win you games, but playing standard is much better. And I sped up the beginning right there just so that it wasn't too boring. Basically what you want to do is whenever you're playing as Zerg, you want to go for a 14 extractor into a 14 pool, and make sure you get 3 drones and gas as soon as it's ready. Use your first overlord for scouting, and then send your... I'm playing against protoss. Usually against protoss and Zerg, they'll send their scouting probe or drone to block your expo. So send over an overlord and see if they're doing that. That way you'll know whether or not you need some early zerglings. Although I would advise you to get early zerglings either way for scouting purposes. And basically when you're playing standard, once the spawning pool finishes, you're going to have enough for the speedling metabolic boost and to drop a queen and make a pair of scouting zerglings right away. Basically, whenever you have the pool down, the pool's building at 16 supply, you want to do an overlord, and that'll also make it to where you don't get supply blocked whenever you're ready for the pool to pop. And I saw he did have a probe over here, but he ended up moving it out of the way. He actually went over here and set down a pylon. That's a very far proxy though, I don't know why he would do that. But basically, once you have 16 drones over here, or at least near 16 drones, you want to go ahead, move your queen down to the second, start building a queen back at base, and have your expo down. Your natural down. And basically you're just droning up. You're not making too many units. As you can see, I only made 4 zerglings, and I have the speedling thing almost ready. And I'm going to try to put on some early pressure, but this isn't really to try and hurt him too much. I just want to see what it is he has. Because my scouting overlord did see that he had the gateway and the cybernetics right here. But then I also noticed he was dropping this down. So I'll try to go bring my zerglings over here to take down the pylon. I'm not doing too well because zerglings versus 2 zealots isn't very good. Should have probably just ended up going in his main base and try to get 1 or 2 probe kills. That would have been much better. But as you can see, I'm making him divert his time into trying to chase down my speedling so he doesn't lose his pylon. So while I'm also having to lose a little bit of economy time, he is too, to have to make sure that we don't have to do this. And actually, that's him right there. He's telling me GG. This video is about 5 minutes after the game. So that was him. Now, as you can see, I was still droning up at base, and now I got my natural down. Basically, you want to just vomit as much as you can. Always remember to try and inject larva whenever your larva is popped. You want to try and make sure you can get as many drones as possible. And I wasn't really paying attention to the drone count on my main base, but typically you want to have 16 drones on your main and 16 on your expo. And then you can also see that I'm starting my 3rd expo. And what do? I send the first queen that has sent down here over there, and I start a queen on this one, and then I start lair tech on my main base. And one good thing to remember as Zerg is try to make queens constantly. Until you reach around the 15-minute mark, you want to at least have 1 queen building at any base. It doesn't matter where, just make sure you have at least 1 queen building. And this is mostly for production purposes and for defensive purposes, because defensively 1 queen is not very strong, but 2 can hold their own against a good bit, simply because of transfusion and the fact that they can attack air units, which will help out Zerg early on a lot. Also, you want to make sure you get evolution chambers somewhere around the 8-minute mark. It doesn't matter if you're off a little bit on the evolution chamber, but try to get them. I went ahead and dropped a roach worm because I wanted to go for roach hydralisk since I was playing protoss. And basically, after you get the natural expo down and you've started your third, you can start branching off of standard play into whatever kind of build preference you really want. And just a little tip, I like to put 2 spore crawlers on my bases. That way I have both detection and air defense. And I have my queen for extra air defense just in case anything does come my way. And notice I'm trying to inject larvae as much as I possibly can. I know I'm not the best player, but every time I think about it, I do go back to try and inject my larvae. And if you notice your queen has way too much energy on her, you want to go ahead and drop creep tumors, because creep is very helpful, especially whenever you have to play defensive. Go ahead and drop some spine crawlers down if you ever feel like you don't have that many units. As you can see, I only have 3 roaches. While I am happy that I do have a good economy going, I have my natural and my main base both flowing with minerals. And my main base has gas. Soon I'm going to be getting gas on my natural. And right now I'm currently working on trying to get the minerals from my third base. But I do feel like I didn't have many units because I had no clue what he was doing over here. That's another thing I will say was my fault, that I should have scouted a little bit more. Like, I could have turned this overlord into an overseer and dropped changelings to try and scout out his base as much as possible. But keep in mind, this is still a gold league game, so I know I'm not the best player to be teaching, but I just want to try and help out players that are mostly in bronze and silver league, because I remember back whenever I was in those leagues, all I really wanted to do was get out of them. Because in bronze league especially, nobody likes playing there. Everybody cheeses. It's just so annoying. And just remember to constantly be trying to make something with your larvae. Don't let larvae sit forever. So basically, I have my roach den is ready. I got my hydralisk den now, and I went ahead and dropped a whole bunch of hydralisks as soon as I was able to. Yeah, those are my hydralisks right there. And one tip I would give for anybody who's playing against Protoss as a Zerg player, put your overlords on the spore crawlers. That way phoenixes don't just snipe them down easily. And remember to try and spread your creep tumors. Creep helps you, and there's no way creep hinders you. It only helps you. Also, another thing that I didn't do that I should have was taking the watchtowers. As Zerg, you want to take these watchtowers as much as you possibly can with 1 or 2 speedlings on them, because Zerg want to have more map control than their opponents. Typically, with any race, you want to have map control, but with Zerg especially, you want more map control. I'm going to speed it up here. And as you can see, I think he was playing the Protoss standard play. And like I said, standard play, that's whenever you want to play defensive. And the reason for that is, you are trying to build up an economy to beat your opponent's economy. And once they make their first move, you can use your economy to make all the hard counter units that they were going to make. So say he was to attack me with some void rays, I would hard counter him with hydralisks or corruptors. Well, actually, mutalisks are the hard counter, the void rays. Corruptors aren't very good because they're considered armored. But basically, since we were both playing standard, nobody made the first move until now, at the 15-minute mark. I finally decided, hey, I need to do something so he doesn't just steamroll me later. Because as Zerg, your units are much squishier than Protoss. So I did try to go ahead and do whatever I could. I went ahead and took out his mothership core, and then I tried to run away. Because I found taking out the mothership core would be a very good idea. And when I was losing units, I was also making more units to replace them back at home. You want to always remember to do that. Don't just constantly make drones, even though you are going for a better economy. As you can see, I'm also starting a 4th base now, and I'm already trying to get creep tumors all the way up to my 4th base. That's way all my bases are linked together. And over here, you can see he has Colossus now, which isn't very good for me. And you also want to remember, you want to try and have as many overseers as you can. Well, not as many as you can, but have like 2 or 3. Because you want to be able to detect any Dark Templar that might be coming your way. And I went ahead and went to do roaches because I saw he had a lot of stalkers, immortals, and I know that immortals hard counter roaches, but I did roaches first, and now I'm making a whole bunch of hydralisks because whenever you play roach hydra, you want roaches not necessarily for doing damage, but for taking a lot of the damage that's going to be dealt to your army. So they're more like a shield that absorbs all the heavy hits, while your hydralisks are in the back doing all the damage that you need them to. I also make speedlings with all the spare gas that I get. And I know that I do keep my minerals kind of high. I need to work on that myself. But usually whenever I see my minerals are really high and I notice that, I try to make as many speedlings as I can because they can get in the front. They can soak up some damage just like the roaches do. Or you can also have your speedlings off to the side and try to do a counterattack. Although I would not suggest this if you're in bronze level play. Try to keep your army all together until you feel that you have the APM strength to start doing more. Also, you notice I'm getting Vipers. This is a new unit to Starcraft 2, and I would highly suggest any Zerg player trying to figure out how to use these things because they can be very useful. In this conflict battle you're about to see, just look at I'm going to pause it real quick. Look at my army compared to his. He's currently on 2 attack, 1 shield, and 1 armor, while I'm only on 2-2. And quite honestly, this army looks a lot stronger than mine simply because he has 5 immortals, 2 colossi. The rest are stalkers, and he has some zealots mixed into that, but the zealots aren't that big of a deal since they are in the back. He has 1 sentry for force fields, and he has a few phoenix, which could attack any overseers that I have, but I don't have any right now. As you can see, I sent the speedlings in right to his 3rd base, and then I'm going to use the rest of my army to take on his army while my speedlings are taking down this 3rd base. That way, not only does he have to worry about either keeping this 3rd or having to deal with my army. And if he doesn't deal with my army, then he's probably going to lose a lot more than he would have if he were to deal with it. But watch right here how much a Viper can help you out in the game. I just go and spam Blinding Cloud all over his army, and an army that typically would have beaten mine outright so much and like just steamrolled over me really didn't. It made his Colossi have to move forward, which put him in range of all my units, and it made all of those other units have to move forward if they wanted to even attack. I would not have stood a chance if I did not have that Blinding Cloud. So that's another thing I would suggest to players that are doing Zerg, is you want to try and use Blinding Cloud, and mostly for units like the Colossi and Siege Tanks, it'll help you out so much. And basically, standard play, I would suggest doing it if you want to get better. And I hope that this video does help anybody that does want to learn standard play, because I know that whenever you try to do standard at first, you're going to lose because you're simply used to rushing and being the first attacker. But once you're able to actually hold your own, play defensive, and learn what your opponents are doing, you can hard counter them so well, and you'll have economy to keep making reinforcements back at your home base while you're attacking them. So I hope this video helped y'all, and if you watched this long, thank you for viewing my video, and I hope I helped you.